Hello, everyone. This is Manolo Concepcion. I am the new associate head coach at Eastern Illinois University here in the United States of America in the NCAA Division One. I am born and raised in Puerto Rico, where I had the opportunity to play and coach, and then now here in the U.S. At the junior college level and then NCAA Division One. When this pandemic began, I wanted to create an educational tool for everyone around the world to be able to learn from experiences and backgrounds of different volleyball communities. Here we are a couple of months after, and we continue to be able to bring some great guests that are able to share some of the best experiences that they have had. And, today we have a great conversation plan, and it is with Mr. Luka Slabe, who is the current assistant coach for Team USA Women's National Team, and also the new head volleyball coach at NC State. How are you, Luka?
I couldn't be better. I'm back in my home. Everything is kind of in boxes, ready to move in a month or so, and I get to talk volleyball with you. So it couldn't get better.
That's awesome, man. I'm taking this as your family and everyone around you is safe and healthy during this time.
They're all good, actually. My wife and both of my kids, they're back home in Slovenia. Kids go back home every summer for about 2 months, and my wife just for 10 days or so, and then she needs to return back to help us move and go back to work. So pretty intense schedule.
What part of Slovenia are you from? Like, how is it there right now?
Slovenia was the first country that was corona-free according to our government, and you know how that is. So but everything opened up. We're back to normal. My wife is sending me like selfies with friends down at the riverbank in Ljubljana, capital, having like food and drinks. I'm like, hey, Lady Coco, corona is still on. So be smart. So, but it looks like they have things under control, but you know how it is with this thing. It doesn't take a lot.
I heard that it's a beautiful country, great place to ski, to hike, and of course, to have a good time, and good place also for volleyball.
It's super small country, 2 million people, but you have everything there. You have Alps, so you can ski, and then you jump in the car and you drive down to the coast of the Adriatic, and you can swim an hour and a half later. Wow, it's a very green country, a lot of rivers and lakes, great food, wine. So you have everything in Slovenia. You have a little bit of Alps. You have Tuscany, like Italian area, where you can get all this prosciutto, salami, and great vino. And you have, influence of German cuisine with a lot of beer. Everything goes, and people speak multiple languages, so it's easy to get around, and it's very safe. It's one of the safest countries in the world.
How does a Slovenian kid ends up in Utah to play for BYU?
I was playing for junior or youth national team. We went to European Championships. It was in Spain.
Okay.
And I was MVP. And there was a guy from Switzerland. Oh, I hope he's not listening to this because I forgot his name. And he was like, you know what? I have people in US that would probably really want you to be on their teams to go to college and play. I'm like, yeah, great. And I was always a fan of USA Volleyball. I remember I would there was no way to order Volleyball magazine to my home address, but I was able to order it to a local library, but it came with 2 months of delay. So I was always reading old versions. So I would be familiar with what's going on in USA in the early 90s and college volleyball and blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, definitely I'm interested. And honestly, I would say probably 2 or 3 weeks later, I received a few envelopes from different universities. And the first or the second one was from BYU. And and just I was sold on BYU right away. And then I was communicating with Hugh McCutcheon. He was kind of a recruiting coordinator at the time for BYU and assistant coach. I had no idea about BYU, what's going on over there. My brother told me, "Do you know Mormons?" And like, "Oh, I don't care, whatever." I just left Slovenia, went to BYU, and the rest is history.
At that moment, did you know about the quality of training and coaching happening at BYU? Did you do it just because you wanted an experience in the U.S.? Or like what? Tell me like the reasoning, behind choosing BYU.
So you're reading, bios of Marv Dunphy from Pepperdine, of Al Cage from UCLA, Carl McGowan from BYU, and I can keep going here. Okay, and it's like, why wouldn't I do that? And they're paying for my school, and I'm going to US. That probably I'll never go, and I get to learn a language, and I get to get a degree. And I was like, if I don't like it, and that's what my parents told me and my brother, I remember, like, if you don't like it, you can still come back after one semester. And that was it. It was more than obvious to me what I need to do. It was not even like what I want to do, but it was like, this is what you need to do.
You went to a team that was already loaded, a team that was full of talent, a team that was, of course, was really well trained, unbelievable coaching staff. Tell me about your role in that team and how did you take that role?
I mean, I'm a little guy, but we were all little. BYU, we were just scrapping little, Mm-hmm. Look at that. Like, I'm 6'1", and Joaquin 6'3", 4", Mike, look at UCLA. They're all like trees, So Al always got, the tallest and the best, I guess. Al Cates. So I was just a little guy that really wants to compete and fire it up and wants to win. And I guess I fit the profile of the team because we were extremely scrappy. We would fight on the court in practice. That would be fist fights, but we would go for a dinner right after that and give each other's hugs in the locker room and like nothing happened. And that's the best memories of my playing career, was that 2001, 2002, 2003, where we were just like a bunch of punks that want to play and win. And we would fight, guys. Like, Manuel, we would fight. Physically, we would fight because we were so upset because ball would go down, or because I would tool Mike Wall. I remember Mike and I, we were in each other's faces all the time. And that was the culture that we had, that Carl and these guys created, and ourselves, we created it. And that's what made us probably great in that era.
I was asking Hector LeBron, who was your setter in 2001, what kind of teammate was Luka Slabe? And I'm gonna translate here, and he said he's one of the best people I know. With his European style, he got to BYU and gave us a different style of energy. He was crazy about making the team better, no matter if he was in the starting lineup or not. We knew every time he touched the ball, something good was going to happen. Why do what are some of those keys that you brought to the table that made you such a good teammate? And what is that energy that he's talking about?
I don't know, if looking back, man, I don't think I was a great teammate. I would say I was probably selfish as well, but who is not? Mm-hmm. You want to win. You want to be on the court. And I wish I could go back and be more supportive to some of the guys. But maybe with my actions on the court, I was, because I was just competing hard. But I wish I would go and hug them more often, or just be a little bit better teammate. Or maybe I was. I don't know. I was never like approached by anyone and you were like an asshole, or like you need to change the way you behave. But I was just trying to be really, really scrappy. And I would go after people, and I allowed people to go after me, and I wouldn't take it personally. And I'm really like, I'm surprised what Hector said about me, because that's how I did not feel. That's not how I felt at the time. That's what I'm giving to my team. But what I brought was probably, at the time, college volleyball was a lot of physical guys that are going to just hit hard. and I would tool and I would tip and I would go high of hands, and then I would talk trash when I would do that. And I know people would just hit the ball. I'm like, no need to hit the ball. I'm scoring anyway. So I was just, bringing that a little bit. My toolbox probably was a little bit greater at that time because I was not the guy that's gonna just go and power his
And you
way
were
out.
used to play against different level of volleyball. That
Exactly.
require
Yeah.
you to use those tools.
By that time, I played probably more volleyball than anybody else because of all the rules that there are here in States. Hours and minutes and seconds that you can spend in the gym with and club rules and high school rules. There's no such rules in Europe, so you play volleyball all the time, and that's where was my advantage, just being a little bit more skillful at certain things. But I was not as physical. I was not such a offensively dominant player as some other guys on my team, but I had other things to contribute.
Hugh McCutcheon, Dr. Karma Gown, rest in peace. Tell me a little bit about playing for people like that, and how did that influence you moving on?
And don't forget Troy Tanner, gold Olympic medalist from '88. Okay,
Yes.
so that was our coaching staff.
First of all, did you recognize at the first moment you got there, first training, the quality of coaching that you were getting?
So I knew everything that was published about Carl. So I'm like, why wouldn't I want to go play for the guy? He has gold Olympic medals. And it's like Troy Tanner. I remember Troy playing in Croatia. I would watch him when he played like 50 miles away from my house when he played for one of the teams with Svetlik.
Oh, wow.
So I watched Troy playing, so I know who he was. Hugh at the time was just done. He was done playing pro. Came back to grad school, so he was just getting into this coaching business. But you could already see there's something there. There's something there. The way he understands, or he did understand volleyball at the time. The way he was coaching, giving feedback, and handling us boys. He was very beneficial already at the time. And then, of course, he grew drastically throughout his career. It was a very demanding environment. It was like a laboratory. It was a classroom, which was absolutely different from where I was coming from, where it's like, the ball, let's play, and just make it happen. Just things were like, just kept clicking. This makes sense. This makes sense. This makes sense. And Carl was, like, you like him or you hate him, but he was extremely tough. He was extremely brutally honest. And if you couldn't take it, there was no place for you.
Luka, but sort of like your culture, right? Eastern Europe, it tends to be this way, right? I don't know, like, did that create an easier situation because you match up with that style?
Yeah. I was always, I don't know, fortunate, but I never was coached by a yeller coach.
Right.
I always was coached by pretty good dudes. Like, they were good human beings. They were not selfish. But I have to kind of pat myself a little bit. I was always working extremely hard. I was always like the guy that you will never make it because you're too tiny. So 6'1" or whatever was always against me, which is okay. And I always had something to prove, always. And I work hard. I work extremely hard. And I think all coaches really appreciate it. So they probably gave me less crap about things that maybe I didn't do well or when I made an error, because they knew he really wants it. He really works hard towards it. So I never had to deal with the knucklehead coaches. And I don't think I was a big-time knucklehead player, but I was probably like annoying often. But yes, that was like, I was used to coaches being tough on us if things are not done properly. So playing for Carl and Hugh, they were tough, but it was different type of demands. Like, he's like, we want you, we need you to make this change with your platform. We need to make this change with your eyes. We need to make this change how you move. So it's a different type of demand, but still it was extremely demanding, just in different ways. So it was not too hard for me. The hardest thing for me was just competing for the spot. We were so deep. There were so many good volleyball players. It's like, crap, what do I need to do to play?
Luka, was there a cauldron already in place? in that
Yeah,
team?
but I think Carl was BSing us because that was always in
You're
favor of.
not the first one that says that.
Oh yeah, and he knows it. I mean, I told him that many years ago. I'm like, you were BSing us, Carl, all the time with that call. You modified, and later on, he admitted a little bit that he would. I'm like, there's no way I won every sixes this week, and I'm not even like you're like. But at the end of the day, when it really mattered, I gave all my best. I gave my best for the team.
When was your aha moment during your playing career there and then after there that told you, you know what, I really want to be a coach, and then become, a great coach international level and then, Slovenian national team? Like, what was that? When was that aha moment as a player?
My first 2 weeks at BYU, of course, we're training differently. We're not stretching. We're not doing all that stuff that I'm used to. And now this is how we want your platform. This is how we want you to be in Buntry. This is where you're going to play defense, blah, 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 blah. Way more structured. I'm like, you know what? Serbia and Gerbic doesn't do that because Gerbic at the time was one of the top in the world as an outside hitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Gerbic doesn't do that. I'll just go talk to Carl because they just won gold Olympic. Serbia in 2000, Yugoslavia. I'm like, Carl, that's not how we do it over there. He's like, so you should just go back over there. I was like, okay. And then we sat down and we watched 1998 World Championships final, Serbia versus Italy. Serbia loses in 4. And Carl was like, for an hour and a half, focused on Gerbic and telling me, look at this. Vladimir, Vanya Gerbic, look at this. Look at this. So
that was there. That was when you knew.
For me as a player, for a player, that was like, okay, I better get my crap together and just pay attention and do my best. And at the same time, I was like, I really like this. I really like how he analyzed player for me. I really like how he pointed things out. And then the whole concept of and everything that was going on in our gym at BYU was just like, yeah, I really like this. I want this to be my career.
When you coach in the pro league, first of all, very, very young coach, Luka, were you already applying motor learning principles in those type of games, or because of the pressure of the pro league, it changes?
Big time. Probably too much. Probably I lost some players due to that. Because that's not a concept that we don't think about that at the time. We didn't think about that back home. That was like completely. What does that have to do with volleyball? Motor learning mechanics has nothing to do with volleyball. And now Luka at age 30, 31 comes and preaches science, and he barely pushed through high school. Now he's telling us, about how should we move and how should we read and what's transfer and what's random versus blocked and what's whole.
You're trying to teach people how to learn when you felt like you were not a great learner before that? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying, like, they judge people. We like to judge, and it's like there's no room for improvement in someone's eyes. He was, barely pushing through high school. You know what I mean? It was not my interest. My interest was volleyball, so I was just good enough to be able to apply to college later on. So probably I was good enough, but I was not a stellar academically, and people know that and they judge. And so why is he now a smart ass? Pardon my language. Why is he now telling us all these things? And I can see the point there, but I was big on, and I still am on, motor learning, be efficient, move well, be simple, less is more. But probably my delivery at the time was probably a little bit aggressive. I was young. I hope I'm still young, and I was very motivated, but motivated for different reasons, I would probably say, and that's what I learned.
So you felt that your ability to provide feedback was the best thing that was improving throughout time while you were there, Luka?
Let me put it this way. Probably I was not the best salesman, and I was trying to change people, not so much on my team as players. I think I had a lot of players that bought in. Of course, some they will never buy in. But people around, people that I need around to support me, to understand what's going on, because we're trying to win Champions League here. We're trying to win national championship here. We're trying to qualify for Worlds, go to Olympics. So just be patient with people around and give them time to understand what you're trying to do. That's where I think I failed to a certain degree. Just to communicate that whole thing and let them think about it and take a deep breath and not be like a tornado a little bit.
What was your biggest success as a coach, aside from the achievements on paper as a coach in the Slovenian national team? What did that experience teach you?
It taught me a lot, man. It taught me a lot that you got to lead the team, you got to have high standards, and you cannot bend over for the to jeopardize, to compromise those standards. You cannot compromise well-being of 15, 16 people plus staff for 2 or 3. You just cannot. I would never back down. Even if players leave the program, I will never back down for the standards, moral, whatever standards we need to function properly and to win. My belief is true. My belief is honest that, Hugh said it well. You don't want to have more than 2 knuckleheads. 2 knuckleheads is 2 knuckleheads.
Yep.
So I truly believe that's what I learned. And if that means you have to let some of your best players go, that doesn't mean you let them go a week in. But if you try 1 summer, 2 summers, and you decide that this is not a perfect fit, then you got to think of your team.
Luka, I made that mistake with one of my players in the past. She was the best player in the team at that point, and I negotiated her talent, and then instead of thinking more of the character, and that affected what happened with the rest of the team, because that player basically took the team by hostage, and what were some of the difficulties that you were needing to handle at that point when you came in and you try to rebuild the way you think, the way people learn, the way people did things? What are some of those challenges that you face?
The word is challenge and change.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard for some of us, I'm going to say as a group, to accept the challenge that's thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to go different way because, we've been doing it for so long, and we're not seeing a change. So why would I keep doing the same thing? The famous Einstein quote, So
Mm-hmm.
I got to change things. And my philosophy and attitude and everything was probably way different than what these guys were used to. So I came with a fresh approach, fresh philosophy. And like I said, it rubbed some players the wrong way. And I'm sure I could probably manage that better, but that's at the time. That was not possible. And but of course, challenge, accept the challenge, and now try to change for the good of the team, and also as the coach. And I think I made that clear with my actions always, not so much with words but actions, that it's not about me, not about me being great, me having a spotlight. I'm here to assist you. This is my advice to you. And there's, of course, certain limit where we can negotiate, but now it's stopped. There's no negotiation anymore. How are we going to play volleyball? How are we going to behave on or off the court? What's going to be our culture? So those are always the challenges.
And you have a great example now with Coach Karch, with setting the standard. First of all, I'm really curious about how did that call happen of, Luka, you know what? Forget Eastern Europe, come back to America and become part of the future of USA Volleyball.
So there was a step before that. I was still head coach of Slovenia national team, and I was head coach of ACH ACA Champions League team at the time. So I had 2 jobs, and most of the coaches over there, I'm not most, but some, I would say the most fortunate ones, we had that opportunity to coach a good team and as well a good national team. And actually, I received a phone call from Chris McGowan, son of Carl McGowan. He was like, Luka, I would really like you to join my BYU staff. I'm like, Chris, give me a couple of days to think about it. I was never actually actively pursuing, applying for jobs or pursuing jobs in US, but there was always here somewhere in the back of my mind, that would be a nice get. That would be a nice move, because my family life and my marriage was under a lot of pressure. For those 4 or 5 years, working with national team, working with a high-profile club team. It was a lot of pressure, not in terms of competition, but a lot of things that you don't want to have in your life when you're coaching elite teams. Organization, finances, it's a lot of stuff there. And I'm like, give me a couple days. And me and my wife, I remember we were sitting on the couch after that Skype call was complete. I'm like, so what are we doing? And like 20 minutes later, I called Chris back. I'm like, hey, we're coming. So it was not 2 days.
Very interesting that you got to actually be coached by Carl and then now be coaching with Chris.
Yeah.
Similarities between them?
I cannot tell you that, because what happened was, so I resigned from national team. I tell my agent, stop pursuing opportunities for me in Europe. I'm going to US. And it was, my flight was May 29th from Slovenia to Salt Lake City. And I would say probably 3 days before that, Chris calls me. Like, what's up, Chris? And I'm packed. We sold the house. We sold cars. My family's going to stay in Europe for the summer. They're going to join me later, but I'm going to BYU right away. And Chris is like, I'm resigning. Out. I'm like, what do you mean you're out? And he's like, yeah, I'm done. And I'm like, what now? What's going on with me? I sold the house. We're ready to go. You know, I'm on my flight in 48 hours. He's like, don't worry. You're a BYU guy. You'll always be BYU guy. They'll take care of you. So really, Chris made sure that BYU is going to take care of me. And then, unfortunately, I was really excited to work with Chris to make some great things happen. Unfortunately, he resigned, but I end up working for a really good crew, Sean and Jalen, and we had some success in the next 3 years. And then I decided to move on and respond to Karch's offer.
And that offer consisted in what? Not financially, but I mean, like, what did he propose to you?
Karch is really good at doing homework and research on with everything. So he did ask around, I'm assuming, a lot about Luka. And we eventually start talking. He gave me a phone call. He flew to Provo, Utah. We sat down, we talked. I flew to California, spent time with him, talk volleyball, just try to get feel of each other. And it was no-brainer. It was no-brainer. You want to work for USA Volleyball. You want to work for Karch. You want to be part of a crew that has so much more to learn, but they're already winning a lot. The sky's the limit. And how can you turn down USA Volleyball? It doesn't make sense. I'm not even looking at nothing. How can you turn down opportunity to work with the greatest? And I'm like, that's going to be such a important, pivotal moment in my life that if my career stops after next year's Olympics, I'm okay with that. I'm happy because of the 2-3 years I'm going to spend with USA Volleyball. But of course, it's not going to end. I'm moving forward, and there's a lot more to come. But there's not a great story about it. The greatest part is you get to talk to Karch. You get to see on your phone, Karch Kirai is calling you. You're the way you want to pronounce it. So that's amazing. You probably make a screenshot of that phone call.
Karch, as a head coach, tell me some of the things that you have learned about managing a staff.
Listening, taking it in, asking for a lot of feedback, suggestions. How can I get better? How can I help you get better? Karch is all about that. How can I service you? How can I serve you? It's nothing about me. Absolutely nothing about me. He's going to die for his staff. He's going to die for his girls. He's going to die for USA Volleyball. Probably the most humble person I've ever been around. He never brings up his greatness. He never brings up his medals. He never brings up his name, last name in any association with greatness. He's just another guy in the gym that works his butt off.
Mm.
And you see that, and he leads just by that because he works so hard and he's a great listener. And he will value your opinion. He will value your thoughts, and he will make sure that he incorporates your thoughts, your opinion somehow to the process.
Mm.
So the best boss that I work for.
Hmm.
Ever.
And what type of experiences in the gym of Team USA are you taking to their next step that we're going to talk about? Like, what are some things that you guys have created as part of your culture that would be relevant for coaches around the world that are watching right now?
We touched on that, Mano, a little bit before.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a lot of good people.
Mm-hmm.
They might not be the best or the greatest volleyball players, but you need to have right people to do the right special things. USA has a lot of good players in our gym, a lot. But on top of everything, we have a lot of great people from different generations, especially right now with the Olympics being pushed. We have like probably 3 generations. We have
Mm-hmm.
people that just graduated and they're contending for the Olympic spot. Kids that kind of played volleyball professionally for a couple of years, so they have experienced that lifestyle. And then we have, players that this is going to be their 3rd Olympics if they make it.
It's crazy.
And of course, there is a lot of pros, but there's some cons with that because you have 3 completely different brain, 3 different mindsets that you need to figure out how you're going to put these pieces together. I would say that's the biggest challenge always. But when you have like good people surrounding you, that makes it easier.
How
Good girls and all.
is USA picking players? You know that you went through an experience that there was an assumed cauldron going on to make sure to see who played. What are some things that you guys are doing to assure that everyone gets a fair chance to make the team with so much talent available?
So much talent available, but not ready to play any kind of international volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
How many players in the last 10 years came from college and had a sudden or immediate impact with the A squad national team?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
handful.
Mm-hmm.
So our college kids are not prepared to play international game. It's system, it's all the substitutions. I don't want to get into that because I got heated up.
Mm-hmm.
Just the system is hurting us a little bit. And why that system is set up the way it is. But I always try to figure out, is there a way around it so we can prep these girls and allow them to be better as soon as they're done with college, to be prepared to go play beyond college. Because the biggest challenge is where can we get all around volleyball players? Where can we get what we call in US 6 rotation player, which is something that doesn't exist elsewhere? Like 6 rotation player. Where can I get Oppo that actually gets to serve in college and play defense? And where can I get setter that actually plays front row? Just a couple examples. Where can we get libero that can actually manage that Mikasa international volleyball? And always a challenge. We are like, she's good fundamentals. She has great numbers in college, but can she sustain maintain the level that she has in college once she's going to be served with that volleyball?
Very different. And for me, it's really interesting how the men's side of the same league has those international rules in place that are maybe translating a little bit easier towards national teams, but then so different in the women's side, which, by the way, it does increase participation in the game, but at the same time hurts the game long term, providing opportunities for women to actually be able to play international or at least have an easier transition.
Yeah, and I agree. Why would college and club coach care about national team? I'm trying to think from their point of view. In my heart, and with all honesty, I think we should all care about national team because it's national. You play for your flag, you play for your country, and but I'm not going to fight that battle right now. But I think in best interest is also that you are trying to develop an all-around volleyball player. college coaches, we all want to recruit all-around volleyball player.
Mm-hmm.
So how many of those are in club? Not a ton. There are some, and the ones that are, and they're good at it, they're getting recruited by the best schools. That's same for us, national team coaches. Where are those all-around volleyball players that we can recruit and bring to our gym? And then, of course, there's another level. How they're going to respond now to a completely different level of volleyball and how we go professionalism, how we go about things. So on the men's side, you have a way smaller pool of the players.
Mm-hmm.
So on the women's side, you have probably the largest pool of volleyball players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
On the men's side, you have one of the smallest pool of the players in the world. But if we do the medal count, 3 gold Olympic medals on the men, 0 on the women. So where's the logics? 6 subs versus 15 subs. Is that maybe it? Molten ball that it very like Mikasa international ball versus Molten and other volleyballs that we're using on the women's side that are just a disaster of the balls.
Very different, yes.
Very different.
Yes.
So why is men USA volleyball winning gold Olympic medals and women's are not? You know, I think there's a little bit of everything. We got to be coaches. We need to get better. We got to continue getting better and coaching our goals better. Something has to do with systems. Something has to do with volleyball. But those are things that me right now and Karch and Tama and Aaron, whoever's on that staff, we cannot really control that. We can talk about it. We can try to promote. We can educate coaches how to coach better, to develop better volleyball players. We can be very resourceful. But we also need to do better job on our end to coach our national team athletes to win that goal. So
are you having to teach and then learn to help players learn some things even at the highest level of Team USA senior national team?
We get middle blockers that they never served in college, so we got to teach them how to serve. And we had oppos that never hit back row, or maybe 10 attempts from back row in their college career, so we got to teach them how to do that. And it's not about teaching to do that, but their arms are not developed as arms of some international oppos because these girls been banging the balls from the back row since they're 13, 14.
Yes.
And our girls don't do that because we are dub subbing and doing all this stuff in club and college. So our oppos never get to hit back row. So arm doesn't develop the power, the strength that you need on the international level. But, you know, we have a few oppos right now that they have that arm.
A few, Luka, a few. No.
So we can build on that. So we're getting there. We're excited about that.
Luka, I have a question. In terms of USA high performance, how is that contributing to the result of the senior national team? And what are some things that now with new administration are going to happen at that younger level that you guys are trying to achieve?
I just think we need to bring as many kids as we can to this HP or USA volleyball pipeline. We need to expose as many players as we can to international rules, to international volleyball, to international style of the game. I know to change anything that I think, in my opinion, has to change on a club and college level, that's a long shot. This might never change. But at least, like, can we, USA, and I think we are changing things drastically. High performance is changing. They're trying to change things where we can influence the game just by doing better job on our end, exposing more players to international volleyball, to create opportunities for them. It's all about that. And continue conversations. There's been a lot of conversations the last 2-3 years discussing those topics of substitutions, pros and cons, and developing all-around skill and changing the ball and what are advantages and possible disadvantages of that. So conversation is there. Hopefully changes are coming soon. I'm not expecting major, but again, USA Volleyball, we have to make sure that we do better job on our end, and there's changes coming. There's changes that already are in place, and USA Volleyball is working hard towards just building that pipeline.
Do you see USA Volleyball actually trying to change the rules in their tournaments, or the fact that JVA is on the table is difficult because of losing some clubs to a different league?
We are definitely talking about it. If we're asking for a change, then we got to change it on our end as well. And that would be this example that you're bringing up. then every tournament that we play that is under USA Volleyball flag or sponsorship, then we should go and play international rules. But of course, I'm assuming a lot of clubs wouldn't like that and wouldn't go only and play USA Volleyball tournaments.
Yep.
So how do we go about it? There may be like only a few tournaments and we try it out where we have these international rules in play and the rest is as it is. This is just, I'm not saying that's like on the table.
That's a good start. Yeah, that's a great idea.
We talk, coaches, we talk. But if we're talking and complaining and we're trying to make this change elsewhere, let's figure it out in our house first, and how to go about it.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting topic, and it requires patience and people with open minds to have these conversations, because those are not easy conversations. That system is so ingrained, and thinking is so ingrained in USA volleyball culture. I'm talking not just about USA volleyball per se, but in general, volleyball community, that it's going to take time to make changes for the best of the game. But of course, we want to include many kids. But the bottom line is you cannot play all the kids. And I understand the business part of it. The biggest difference as well is that USA government doesn't give $1 for sports. In Europe, Asia, Brazil, government is supporting sports.
Wait. Oh, okay. All right. So people living outside of the US.
Here we go. USA Volleyball gets zero money from government. Same for clubs. You're not getting money from all these government.
Right. It's all private then. It's all private. It's sponsorships. So it reflects even more the great job that USAV is doing to be at the top of the world in this sport.
When I was coaching professionally in one of the clubs, just the city where I would coach gave us 250,000 euros. That's roughly $300,000 every June. That was like cities supporting this club because it's playing in Champions League. Here we go. That's the money we give him. Then you get government money. And of course, there's sponsorship money on the top. So if you get zero support from the government, then of course clubs need to worry about bringing customers in and make money because you got to run business here. So that's the main difference, let's say, between US and the rest of the world.
Yeah, and you combine it with the fact that the club scene, and for people watching this outside of US, the club scene is for younger ages, until 18 years old, in the US. So the club scene brings so much private money to the table to different clubs.
Yeah.
That is.
Why would you jeopardize that money? Why would you say no, thank you to the money? So I got to play a lot of kids to make money, to run this business, to provide for my family, and to grow the whole thing. So it makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's hurting it grows the game. Volleyball is getting bigger and bigger and bigger in this country, both women and men. Men's game, boys' game is growing drastically, significantly, which is great. We have more kids playing volleyball. That means our pool is getting better and greater, and we can choose. We have more options to choose from. But I'm sure we can make a little change, and it's going to have a significant impact also on our end, on the USA, especially developing all around volleyball players.
Luka, in the USA gym, it's known because of being a random training type of environment, because of learning, increases in that type of environment. Have you dealt with situations where it's difficult for players to transition coming from a club that trains in a block scenario more than anything else?
Oh, yeah.
Or college teams?
Oh, yeah. Oh, can you go and hit the ball from the box at me? I can work on my defense. I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but there's no transfer between what we're doing here, me hitting from the box, and you actually digging the ball and reading the game and seeing the setter, seeing the set, know the attacker and go dig the ball. So as you know, right now we're robbing you of those opportunities. But if that's for your feel, for you to feel good, yeah, I'm going to spend 20 minutes at the end of the practice. I'm going to hit those balls at you. But that's not part of our practice plan. This is all extra. And some players, they need that because they spend 8 months doing that, and they believe I need that for comfort, for feel. And I'm like, okay, if you need that, I'll give you that. but that's not going to be part of our 3 hour practice that we put together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's definitely a challenge, but I would say our girls, they know we're here to get better. This is what coaches plan for us. Let's go after it. But every now and then, of course, and it makes sense, they would come with a request if we can do a little bit more blocked training, which we do super early in practice, but it's not absolutely or completely blocked. There's always some kind of serve, pass, set, and then things happen. So when you work on serving, there's going to be always a passer. When you're working on passing, there's going to be always serve and most likely a catcher or a setter. If you're working on setting, there's going to be always a server and a passer. It's not going to be a coach tossing. And then you're going to set maybe to a target, or maybe already somebody hitting the ball. That's kind of early. That's the most blocked we go early in practice.
And the unique scene in USA, volleyball in general, is that the college game, it's a primary league, and probably the best league in the world. Tell me, how do you guys deal with players going back to their own gyms for 8 months, with a different style, and then adapting to Team USA? Like, what are some things that, if you had the opportunity and total control of college coaches, what are some things that you will ask to think about if they want their players to end up at least having an opportunity at the national team level? What are some things that would transition or will help transition easier from college to the international game that we can do better?
Play as much volleyball as you can. Stop wasting time on doing things that have nothing to do with volleyball, or they transfer zero to the reality of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that too much. When we're practicing in a blocked environment, we get better very soon. We get better fast, and we look good. But as soon as the volleyball becomes random, suddenly there's a disaster. And now we're shocked that this training doesn't work. So I would ask every coach, spend 80% or 85% of the time in very random environment. Everything you do, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, tutor session, attack school, whatever, as random as you can with a focus on one thing. Try to make as the best you can volleyball-like environment. And suddenly things become simpler when you do that. But we're trying to come up with the magic drills. We're trying to come up with the magic stuff that, like I said, you get better fast and you look better fast, because when somebody's hitting the ball at you from spot A to spot B, you know that ball's coming from the box to you all the time. But in the real life, you don't know that. Where the ball's going, you don't know where the ball's going to go. There's going to be a block that's going to touch it. So it's just play a lot of volleyball in a very random environment, and just give it a try. Just give it a try. I know it's hard for some of us. It's really hard to give something away that we feel like it's making us great. But study the game. Try to understand motor learning. Try to understand human, how we learn, how we acquire skill. Try to learn that. Spend maybe one summer or one January when you're done with the season reading about stuff like that, asking questions about like that. Because honestly, you need 5 drills. You need 5 drills in your library.
Say that again. Say that again. So you don't need 100 drills?
No, there's no drill that's going to make you great. You can have a handful of drills that you can manipulate any way you want in terms of scoring, maybe entering ball, bonusing ball, emphasizing different things. But make sure every rally starts with the serve, and most of the rallies should, like every drill should start with the serve, finish with the serve. Try not to get too involved as a coach, creating too many opportunities that require player not to read, not to adapt, not to be challenged. Just give it a try. That's my thing. Like, give it a try, and you'll see your team's going to go like this.
Luka, how do you how can you explain, like, there have been some guests from other countries that their countries train mainly in block training, and they are still successful at the worldwide type of level. Why are you why are you so much into the random part of training, and why has it been so successful for Team USA?
Um, like I said, a lot of teams, especially non-USA players, they play just way more volleyball than we do initially.
Mhm.
But, I'm going around these gyms when I go visit our girls abroad, and I go to gyms in Italy, and I go to gyms in Turkey, and so on and so forth. But believe it or not, these teams are playing a lot of volleyball.
Hmm.
They might be doing some stuff first 30 minutes that I'm not a big fan of, but you know what? They're getting reps. Their coaches are getting them a lot of reps, and reps matter. Now, probably we can make these reps a little bit more valuable, but their philosophy and methods are as they are. But in general, the best teams that I go to, the gyms like Massimo Barbolini gym and Guidetti, and I was in the gym of Fenerbahce with Terzic. These guys are playing a lot of volleyball. Like,
Mhm.
warm up, a little bit of this and that, sixes. Here we go. So they understand we need to play a lot of volleyball and then create situations within that where where um, we can get better maybe in transition, first ball, this situation, that situation. But they're playing a lot of volleyball. Um, but yeah, when you're going to these coaching seminars, us coaches, we talk a lot about, how to develop this skill, and that becomes a very, usually in a very blocked environment. But that's not what I see from these same coaches that are preaching. I don't see that in their gym. They play a lot of volleyball instead of doing a lot of stuff that they're preaching. And we're the same, Let's just go play volleyball. And they have like some specimen. Like every team has a few monsters that are just so powerful and maybe not fundamentally the best, but they get away with just being so physical and they have great arms. Um, but in general, the best teams in the world, they play a lot of volleyball and they play
Hmm.
a lot of matches. And like Massimo said yesterday, I know years ago we had like 35 matches per season, not only 35 opportunities to respond in a very game-like situation. Actually, in a game-like situation, now we're talking about 50, 60 matches. So game teaches the best. So why are we getting better? Just because we play so much volleyball. He answered this question perfectly. Was it yesterday? I think it was
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
we
was.
play so much more volleyball that gives us opportunities to talk about volleyball more, about
Hmm.
real volleyball, and it gives athletes to respond to the live situation. That's the biggest difference. We just play so much more volleyball these days than maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago, where we played less volleyball.
Someone was saying in one of the clinics that we both from this company, that under coaching is always better than over coaching. So basically, letting kids play, the game teaches the game. Making sure that they're knowing that there's more transfer in that aspect than in the other way, than controlling the whole variables, that not that everything being under one single control. Instead of allowing things to flow, allowing the players to be the protagonists of the actual training. We're living a world right now, Luca, that the internet is providing 1,000 opportunities to create new drills. Why 5 drills? Like, if there's so many things out there about, like, hey, you know what? Let me adapt this drill to my practice or to my level. Why it's so important to just have 3 to 5 drills? And now I also want to go into, after this conversation, into NC State volleyball. But tell me about that.
So I have a question for you. You're a coach. So if I introduce new drill every day, how is that
Mhm.
going to look like?
Mhm.
So what's your answer? It's a
I'm
disaster.
always I'm always learning the drill instead of learning the skill.
Exactly. So I'm trying to make sure every time I go play sixes, or every time I'm attempting to play or execute this drill, I want to make sure my players know what's going on. And
Mhm.
once they know what's going on, how we're going to score, how this drill looks like, then I can manipulate drill in terms of, are we entering second balls? Are we scoring differently? Whatever I brought up, are there different focuses? And that's the magic. Can you, as a
Mhm.
staff, ID things that we need to work on? Number one, what are the things that are most important for us to win?
Mhm.
How are we gonna? What methods are we gonna use? Principles and methods are we gonna use? And methods or drills, basically. How are we going to go about it? And what feedback are we going to give? And how many responses are we going to create? The problem is that we are not touching enough of volleyball. If you're telling how many times X and Y serves in practice, you would be shocked that we don't serve enough. It's the most undertrained skill in the game of volleyball, but it's yet probably one of the most important skills in the game of volleyball. So, like, how can we create valuable opportunities and reinforce certain behaviors with a good feedback? That's always important. So instead of creating 1,000, we have a library of 1,000 drills, but I wouldn't apply all of them because, like you said, now you're stressed out. Girls and guys are stressed about learning about the drill instead of learning the game. So that's why it's so important to have just a few that work for you and allow you to modify those drills to the degree where drill is still very familiar to the players, but it creates absolutely opportunities that are going to happen during the game.
NC State volleyball going to be Luka Slabe is going to be the head coach in the ACC for NC State. Tell me, what are the expectations? What are your first objectives with this new move?
Objectives, expectations, goals. I don't know. I have no goals as such. Objectives are, hey, we need to get better here, and we need to get better fast. We're always in a hurry. With everything going on, we're just missing on weeks and weeks and days of practice. So we'll have to do that during the season. Actually, our during season is going to be more about getting better than worrying about wins and losses. Unfortunately, we got to worry about kids coming back and assuming that nobody has done anything for 5 months. So we go from ground zero because we have like for sure 3 or 4 that are working really hard. And we have that medium that is like doing something. And like in every group, there's kids that did very little. So we got to all like that. We did very little. So return to training protocol is going to be objective number 1. How well we put that protocol together, how well we can adapt and understand that we cannot be ignorant to the fact that we haven't jumped and hit the ball and land. We haven't landed. Landing is the tough part. It's easy to jump. Problem is landing. How can we keep our girls safe and healthy so we can actually go and play volleyball September, October, November, who knows when we're done. So that's going to be objective number 1. Get stronger, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep developing skill. And who knows when we're going to be able to actually play sixes, safely play sixes. For sure not week 1 and 2. I don't see it happen. But that's going to be main focus. And then probably if everything goes according to the plan, if this corona is not hitting us again, next spring we're going to have to dig deep and get into the details and try to get a ton better. But the bottom line is let's worry about ourselves more than about opponents. That's always going to be objective. So when we talk about opponents, less is more. We're going to scout them. We're going to give you some ideas about it, but let's keep it on our side and play our volleyball. If that means we win, great. If that means we lose, we just learned something, let's go. Let's go back to the chalkboard, whiteboard, and let's get better. As much as that pains me to say, because I want to win, I think I'm winner. Everything else but winning right now is going to be a priority, unfortunately, this 2020 season. If it happens, still a big question mark there.
What are some things that you feel are important to winning the ACC? What are some of things that when you feel good about your side of the ball, what are the keys that you're seeing to be successful in that conference?
First and second touch, definitely. Can we pass better than anybody else? Can we serve better than anybody else? Can we set the hittable ball? Can we set a hittable ball? Not perfect. Can we set that hittable ball that's going to allow attackers to go hit with range? There we go. And develop volleyball understanding of the game, reading. But again, first and second touch are going to be huge. We're going to try to win serve, receive battle every night. And we're going to just try to be scrappier than anybody else. Try to put some points on the board in transition. So those touches are going to be extremely valuable for us.
Is Luka Slabe going to be an Olympian? Are you still part of Team USA staff going to hopefully the 2021 Tokyo Olympics? And how are you going to make it work?
That's the plan. So the answer is yes. I talked to Karch, I talked to my administration. The plan is that Luka's going to the Olympics. Our spring training most likely will be done at NC State sometime in April. As you know, we can move and adjust that schedule a little bit as long as we get all the hours, all the valuable hours and weeks in that we have. The plan is that I join USA as soon as I'm done with that. I'm going to have to recruit like crazy during spring break. During spring training a lot in the months that we're allowed to. And in May, we cannot, it's a dead period, so I'm not going to miss a ton there. And we're going to have a great staff. We're, I think, organized well. We know how to go about it. We're still learning, of course, but we have a pretty solid plan that even though if I'm not there, I think our recruits will understand that Luka is just not down in Puerto Rico hanging out, playing golf. But he's actually trying to win gold Olympic medal with USA. And I think
awesome, man.
Probably they're going to be forgiving, knowing that I'm trying to do something great for this country. And maybe that's appealing for them to understand, hey, I get to play maybe for an Olympic coach, something to consider where I go. Mm-hmm. So there are some advantages and some disadvantages, but of course, going to the Olympics, winning gold Olympic medal, it's another beast.
What are some things that you're going to do at NC State that can translate into these players actually going international? Are you planning to bring that type of game? Are you planning to bring 6 rotation players and or what type of perspective are you bringing?
We will definitely adapt our system around the team that we have. Mm-hmm. But we will recruit, we will try in any way possible to develop all-around volleyball players, always with focus on getting better. If we are not going to be successful, that we're going to have to come up with a system that's going to help us win. But yes, all-around players, we're going to recruit players home and away internationally that can help us play that 5-1 system as much as we can. Mm-hmm. And if we are going to be successful at that, great. If we need to adapt, we will, of course, adapt. But something I can give to my girls is, you know what? I'm going to try not to rob you of opportunities of not playing full game. Mm-hmm. Because I want to create opportunity for you when you're done with college to go play pro. Is that probably not the best level, but you go somewhere for a year or two, you learn a language and you get to travel, great. If I can do that for you, that's going to be amazing. You know, if I can put you in a position where you can go to USA tryouts and actually get a shot for one of the college teams, national teams, wow. If I can put you somehow on the radar of USA senior national team, amazing. Mm-hmm. I am always thinking, what can I offer? How can I prepare my players for post-college life, which is, of course, another 60, 70 years of their life. So I got to be good about that. I got to create those opportunities for these girls.
Luka, just like in the USA gym, NC State and the state of North Carolina distinguished itself for having a lot of diversity, different cultures on the same state, and then in the university. What are some things that you guys did in Team USA and are doing to not just be diverse, but also inclusive with different backgrounds, different races, different religions? And what are some things that you're planning to do at NC State to secure that, to assure that you have a locker room that is filled with that? What are some things considering the current situation going on that we're having, again, awareness about discrimination being going on for more than 200 years in the States, but also, like Puerto Rico, more than 600 years. So tell me a little bit about that.
The most appealing thing for me about this country, this beautiful country, is the diversity. And we're here in Irvine, California, Orange County, where I would say 80% of the population is Asian. So there's 2 white kids in the classroom besides my son, and that's amazing. That's like me and my wife are looking for that diversity consistently. Our kids go about it just like, great. Great. I get to learn about new culture, new race, how they celebrate birthdays, how they celebrate Christmas, how they, and it's just like mind blowing for our kids how amazing that is. And we're number one, it's the buck stops with me and my wife to educate our kids that are, I don't know what's the right way to say it. To be colorblind, that means everybody's the same, or you're not colorblind and you need to acknowledge that somebody has different tone of skin.
Yes.
Either way they go about. I don't know what's the, for me it was like I'm color blind, which means we're all the same. I don't even like, a black person walks by me, African American, whatever, like, yeah, just another person.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to go about it? Am I doing the right thing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that, yeah, I think the important thing here is to not
just
just,
this person is that's the tone of color, because as much as we're diverse here, I think being equal, what Constitution is saying, it's still a noble idea, and that's a pretty strong statement. I hope I don't get in trouble. It's a noble idea. We're not there yet. We're long ways to go that everybody's going to be equal under Constitution or under the sun or under God in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take. And it starts with me. My family's got to do better. I got to do better. And I got to make sure that I recruit and I bring kids to our program, to my program, regardless the race. If they're the best for our program, I don't care. I never care about that. And we had to talk about those things. We just cannot be quiet. And when those unfortunate events happen, the latest ones, we had a meeting at NC State, and that was one of the most powerful team meetings that I ever witnessed. That I was powerful. I was part of. Those are always very tough and comfortable conversations. In my mind, that was like, yeah, it makes sense. We got to talk about it. I never shied away from those conversations. Where I'm coming from, we don't have to deal with that. We don't. Knowing that we are racially very white, our country. So who knows what would happen when suddenly we would throw in 10 different cultures. I don't know how we respond. But I was always brought up as we're all equal, and you should treat all people the same way and fair. So we had that meeting with NC State girls, and it was one of the most powerful moments in my life. I don't want to share too much because it's very personal. I want to keep it for the team very sacred. But I learned that us, white, I'm now generalizing, we have no idea what minorities or people of different color of skin are going through, how they're perceived, how they go about their lives every day. Like our girls, our white girls talked to our African American or black girls openly, even beyond that meeting. They would meet again and talk and talk and talk. And I could see our girl just being like, I had no idea. Sorry. I'm so sorry. That was like the biggest win for me, was like, okay, now we kind of know how they feel about it and what's their life. What a miserable life that can be when you're judged just solely by color of your skin. So we open up that conversation. We're going to continue promoting those conversations, and we're going to absolutely not tolerate any racism or anything that it's a little bit like racism. It's not going to be tolerated in our group, in our small bubble. And I'm lucky that we had that conversation. I'm lucky that we had that conversation with USA Volleyball girls and staff. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what's my plan, because I never thought about it. Because in my heart, we're the same. I gotta treat you as everybody the same, and I always have. I really sincerely hope that nobody ever had to feel that Luka's treating me differently because I'm foreigner, or I have different color of skin or a different religion. I sincerely hope nobody ever had that uncertainty or being uncomfortable being around me. If I did that, I apologize. But I'm looking for answers right now, listening, paying attention, and trying to promote conversation within groups that I have influence on, and that's NC State and USA Volleyball.
Thank you so much for your take on this really important matter. It's something that I'm going to continue to ask the different guests. And I know that many people can see it because of the quality of my camera, but I'm always going to have that there until everything is resolved. So stand against discrimination, no matter where you're from, no matter what color, no matter what religion, and every other type of discrimination matters as well here in this conversation. So I encourage everyone to continue to think about it, to talk about it, making sure that we understand that sports is just a microorganism of what's going on. So it is our responsibility to be part of this conversation. Luka, the last question I have for you is, have you ever hiked or are you ready for river rafting in North Carolina? Okay, have you proposed that to your family? Because you're going to find some of the best rivers in North Carolina to river raft, some of the best mountains in North Carolina to just hike and spend a good time, in the mountains.
So I'm coming from Slovenia. We have Alps, so that means a lot of lakes. So yes, we ski, we do all this crazy stuff. And then I spent 3 years as a coach and 4 years as a player in Utah. So all the mountains.
You're coming from great mountains there, yes.
Yeah. And then I know my wife's dad just passed away last year. He took us to a crazy river raft in Austria. And we were absolutely not ready for that level because it was crazy. But we had people falling out and rescuing us, and it was an eventful day, beautiful, great memories. And I'm definitely looking forward to an amazing outdoors opportunities that North Carolina and surrounding states have to offer.
Make sure that you go to one of my favorite towns in the world, which is Asheville, North Carolina. And of course, in South Carolina, you have to visit Charleston, which is one of the most beautiful cities in the world as well. It reminds me a lot of San Juan, Puerto Rico. So just wanted to let you know that. Luka, good luck moving forward. Man, I hope that the Olympics can happen in 2021 and that you guys do a great job like Team USA always does. Good luck also with NC State. I know you're going to turn that program around sooner than later. It's going to be great. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and experiences today with the volleyball community. Any last words for everyone watching us?
Yeah, just guys, we got to listen to each other. We got to talk to each other. We got to accept challenges. We have to be okay when somebody is coming after you a little bit, telling you the truth, the brutal truth, especially kids that we're recruiting. You got to be ready for some storms, and you got to have to weather those storms. There's valleys that you need to take care of and worry about. Hills are going to take care of themselves. So be ready for those. There's a lot of ebbs and flows, and do not fear to attack them. I think we got to be much better at that. Right now, we're pretty soft, our society. We got to talk about tough subjects. We got to be ready to fight them, so we can make our lives greater.
Luka, I must add one more thing. I appreciate you providing feedback about that important subject, but there's someone from your country asking if you're ever going to go back and try to do any summer camps or anything organized there for the younger community in your own country.
I would love to do that, but my schedule doesn't allow me that. I don't go home at all. I think I go home usually in November, and that's usually for 3-4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Even that's going to be taken away from me because I'm going to be in the season at NC State. So my time to travel back home, unfortunately, is extremely limited. But I am always available for my fellow Slovenians or any other coaches to reach out. We can always figure out something. So absolutely, we can make it happen.
Cool. All right. This has been Luka Slabe. Please go like and follow our Facebook page, Volley Junkies. Know that this conversation and almost every other is already uploaded at the Volley Junkies YouTube channel. So please go also and subscribe to that. This is Manolo Concepcion with Volley Junkies. I hope you can join us this afternoon. For the Spanish speakers, we're going to have a session with Mr. Gaby Acevedo, who is a former UCLA player and now is an NBC reporter. So we'll be talking about volleyball live, but also what's going on around the world right now from the media perspective. So thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Gracias, Luka.